Coming off of our shortest podcast to date, it's Mason and Remy. Hey, buddy.
Hey.
How do you feel about that? I know this is weird for me to start out with, but I just realized that 1 hour, the shortest podcast we've had, like 2 hours, the longest podcast we've had. Now, what do we do? Is that good? Is that bad? Like, I kind of thought for a minute while we were in it, I was like, this is going to be quicker. This is good. All those folks who said 2 hours is too long, this is good. And now I'm like, I feel like we talked about so much more in the bigger episodes. We didn't we had to cut off our talk about confidence, which is something we're going to talk about in this episode here. But then, of course, when I look at the schedule of all this stuff, we're midway through October by the time this releases already. If we're going to talk about anything Halloween, it has to happen here in these next weeks here. So we might have to get to a little bit of that and a few other things that have been going on. But how do you feel about the length of our podcast?
I think an hour is good. I think that's like a traditional podcast episode, right? I think for the episodes that we had telling our story, it was a lot of kind of therapy for us. So it was just like however long this goes is however long this goes.
Yeah.
I will say that some of my friends have been like, Remy, they're 2 hours long. Give me a second to get through it. I was like, you're on episode 2. I gave you a long time. This is Ashley, by the way.
Oh, hi, Ashley.
She has an attention span of a gnat. So.
She might see this by 2026. That sounds great.
Yeah. Around Christmas time, she's going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you called me out in that podcast. But no, I think an hour and a half is probably that sweet spot for podcasts. You know, you can finish it in a couple commutes or maybe a mowing of the lawn. So. Okay.
All right. It's good to know where to shoot. Just as we're defining what this thing is and going about it, I realized that was the shortest episode that we had done yet in the last episode. So with that in mind, then we have to kind of get through some of these topics that we want to talk about, because we always I know I make some notes and we always chat just before we go into this and say, hey, what's going on? What do you want to chat about? I know first, and this isn't new news at this point. It'll probably be in the past. Thoughts are with everybody down in Florida who is just getting beat. And then, of course, in the Carolinas from the previous hurricane, we've talked about how, I had to not go see a concert because of it. Not a huge deal. No complaints. But I know, Remy, you were supposed to be traveling as well, right? Where were you headed?
I was headed to Orlando.
Were you? Okay, you were going right to Florida. Okay.
Yeah. I remember seeing the graphic of the projected path of the tropical storm at the time. Mm-hmm. And they had projected it to be a 1 or a 2 when it hit Florida. This was like a week ago. And I'd sent out a couple of notes to people that, our Floridian friends that we were going to visit. And they were like, it's a 1 or 2. Just, come on. You can still come and you can say you've been in a hurricane and it'll be fun. And then about... three or 4 days.
It's just a funny line. You can come down. Some people are like, there's Disney, there's Universal. No. Come down and experience nature in all her fury. I think that's hilarious. But I just had this because we were talking about it, my wife and I work with people in LA. They experience earthquakes all the time. And when I talk to them, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. That's scary. But we experience tornadoes all the time.
Yeah.
And we're like, I'm going to go outside and get a picture of it.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that a lot of Floridians are like, come through and experience a real hurricane. We'll go get a cooler and get drunk for 3 days with no power.
Yeah.
It's just a normal thing.
There's some crazy stuff going on right now. Well, to finish my story, about 2 or 3 days ago, they were like, yeah, we want to reschedule. And when the airlines are like, we'll let you reschedule for free at this point, that it gets serious, right?
Real.
I heard, I stumbled upon a reel the other day, and it was about the Waffle House Index. Have you ever heard of this?
I have heard of this and I've seen this. Yes.
If the Waffle Houses start to shut down in Florida, that's like how FEMA kind of knows that it's getting serious. I think Disney and Universal are probably another couple of those barometers to kind of tell whether or not this thing is going to be huge, because Disney doesn't ever shut down.
Right.
I mean, even during COVID, that was like a huge thing that they shut down, and that was just mandated. But they were like, yeah, you probably not come to Florida, and we were like, okay. So even though Orlando's fairly inland, and I guess to me, Florida just looks like an island of disaster when a hurricane comes through. But apparently when you're further inland, it affects those people less. So Orlando's kind of like, I know this is going to be bad, but it's, it's not going to be Tampa or wherever this hits.
Yeah.
And by now it's hit. So
right.
It's happening tonight at the time of the recording of this podcast. But yeah, I did want to get my hurricane stripes. However, probably not with this one.
Darn.
And I hope that everybody is okay in Florida. But the wild stories that I've seen of people like hunkering down and staying there and wearing it as like a badge of honor and going on TikTok. There's this guy that's been floating in his house in a raft for like 2 or 3 days now. Like, it's just, there's an actual Lieutenant Dan. Have you seen this guy? He's just going to stay on. I wonder how all this ages, by the way. But he's just going to stay on his boat the entire time. And there's a TikToker that's out there like documenting Lieutenant Dan's journey,
risky journey. Yeah, man. That's like as this comes out, like, do we have to edit that part out because Lieutenant Dan isn't with us anymore? I don't know. But that's the risk. They have to know that that's the risk, right? Just like when we would go into the backyard with our phone to get a picture of that tornado. If something like if a projectile 2x4 came and took our head off, no one should be surprised.
Yeah,
we knew what we were getting into. I hate to say that, maybe there's those folks who can't leave, right? Like, I'm sure that's a thing for some people who are like, where am I going to go? The streets are packed. What am I going to do? We don't even know if it's going to come inland or hit where they say it's going to hit. So it's so hard to figure that stuff out. And, I heard a discussion somebody was having about why would you go there? Like, you cannot insure your homes. It's all like every couple of days, not even, I shouldn't say that. In this instance, it's been like a couple of weeks, right? And just devastation. But it's beautiful 95% of the time. But it's literal devastation 5% of the time. It's crazy trade-off to me. And I have no problem being landlocked here in midst of the fields of corn, where our biggest threat is wind, which can still be pretty crazy. But
we were talking about, because we were going to a coral farm. So you think about all these animals that are kind of locked up, helpless, can't be, the coral wouldn't be able to fend for itself anyway, but fish and things like that, and vertebrates who would typically ride this storm out in the coral reef off the coast of Florida or wherever the hurricane is happening. But you think about all that and how that will be affected for sure. So we'll see how it all pans out in the end. But it sucks that this is continually the story, whether you want to believe climate change or not. The Gulf of Mexico is warm, like super warm, and that only fuels this fire. So
yeah, no, the times that I've been down, I went to Mobile, Alabama. I remember beautiful, sunny, nice. Then it rained. And then beautiful, sunny, nice. And that's just like the climate. Just everything is perfect there for that. And you can tell that's why there's a Gulf. That's why there's a coast. You know what I mean? That's why there's a river that goes right up there. That's a whole ecosystem, right? That's why it is what it is. But to go and look around and see people saying that we're controlling the weather is a super interesting take. Especially when it's the folks who, we're like not so much about the climate change. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just weird to see like drastic different sides of, and I am all for a good conspiracy theory. Like, don't get me wrong. I love the idea that there's a plane seeding clouds and that we're able to make it rain if we're in a drought. But I don't know if we're ready to like devastate our own country to get to a lithium mine or whatever it is that they're saying is happening.
I think that there are definitely some studies that have been done with cloud seeding and things like that, like legit, like we can kind of control the weather. But I don't think it's for political gain at the end of the day.
I remember
it'd be a lot of people to have to keep a secret in that.
And that's my biggest concern about all of these big conspiracy theories that you see out there, from Epstein to seeding the clouds. How did this not get leaked? How is there not someone who's going, oh, look, you know what I mean? Like, there were videos of Saddam Hussein, and you're telling me that nobody has the paperwork on who's flying the plane that's making the, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to It's hard to see what's real and not, but the land of make believe is super fun. And I am all for a good fiction story. I love a good adventure.
When you don't know, it's a conspiracy theory. That's pretty much what sums up these past couple years is nobody can explain this, so it's a conspiracy theory.
Yep. So here's all
it favors only my political values and nobody else. So
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And if you have anything else to say about that, don't talk to me about it. Thank you. I will
to be filled.
We'll silence you for 30 days. Let's move on to some other topics here. But I know that the hurricane and everything that's been the hurricanes in the last couple of weeks have been insane. To see the effect that they have on, I mean, everything that's happening now. Hopefully this is all gone and past by the time we get to Halloween and everybody's able to have a nice holiday. But and I do want to talk a little bit about Halloween stuff before we get to the bigger topic of confidence. Two drastically different topics. Have you seen the new Beanie Babies?
No. Beanie Babies is producing.
No.
Okay.
Sorry, I mean that metaphorically. I went to go see my mom and dad last week. I was traveling. I stopped at like a McDonald's to get like a nugget or something. This woman walks up and she's like, "Excuse me." You already know where it's going?
I know where it's going.
I wanted the Croc. Do you know about these things?
Yes.
I saw someone post about them the other day, and this is where I went, oh, this is happening. This woman was so adamant about not getting the Croc that she stopped specifically at this McDonald's in the middle of Indiana for.
Yep. That
the woman in the back came out and said, "You can have mine because we don't have any more. I'm sorry." Like this. And then she just did a and walked off. Like, I have so many things to talk about. First, is that the new Beanie Babies are these Croc. Are they keychains? Are they like little? They're a keychain. It's a Croc keychain. And of course, since they're in a Happy Meal, it's what we in the gaming world call RNG, random number generation. It's a roll of the dice. It's a chance game that you're going to get the one that you want, right? It's a Pokemon card pack. Are you going to get Pikachu? Probably not. But you're going to go to another McDonald's and another McDonald's and another McDonald's so that you can get the right Croc, whichever one that is that you want. So this, like, first off, I'm realizing Crocs are way bigger than they should be. I know they're great. I know.
Our kids have them.
Do they? And they love them?
Mm-hmm. And they have the little giblets or whatever they're called for them too.
I know what you're talking about. The flare, like the flare that goes on them, right? Like that you see whatever that is. And
like all the kids do. And like tons of parents and people wear them and it's like, whatever.
And that's why I won't.
I blame Luke Combs.
I mean, you could blame Luke Combs, Post Malone. Don't be mad at them because they took a check. This is all their fault. This is all the fault of the people who invented sport mode for sandals. And its popularity. I'm one of those folks, man. I just can't do it. You know what I mean? I haven't put them on. I don't know what they feel like. I've never felt one. I've never looked at one. It feels like a Yeti to me, where it's like, I want to get something else just to not be like everybody else.
Yep.
But I also understand that these are very popular and apparently very comfortable, and I have a ton of utility, and I would probably love them. And that's what makes me the most mad is that it's probably a great product. Why do I hate it? Why do I hate it?
These Croc things. And I think this kind of goes with everything you can find at McDonald's these days. The novelty of it is kind of gone as eBay exists and Facebook Marketplace exists, right? So I remember the teeny beanie era when Beanie Babies were huge and Tabasco was selling for $350.
You know his name? Is that the red dog, bro?
It was the bull. It was the Red Bull. So it was the Chicago Bulls. So it was a huge thing for all of us in Illinois. Tabasco, and then they would retire and they wouldn't make them anymore, and then they would be more.
They vault them, right? They put them away.
I remember meeting some random creepy dude in the mall parking lot when I was probably 14 years old, selling my Radar bat for $100 to some random guy. And I remember all that, and it's just not the same anymore. Like even now they've got they had like they'll put Pokemon cards in there every once in a while. They've got a promotion. They'll put a 4-pack of Pokemon cards. Even those, I mean, you can just, if you don't want to buy all the McDonald's Happy Meals to see if you get it or not, just go to eBay and you can buy them there.
You're giving the
for the most
shortcut.
part.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you might pay a little bit more for it, but at least you're not wasting the amazing amount of food that people wasted in the teeny beanie days.
I'm a huge fan of McDonald's. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's the healthiest food, but also you might have a little bit of a healthier option and save some money if you don't just go nugget meal after nugget meal after nugget meal until I know you might get apple slices in one of those, but let's not lie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still wild to me. The collections are so weird to me. Like even I bought some Pokemon cards the other day, and I got an alternate art. One of it's like a $60 card or something. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing! I have to get it graded now, and then I have to sell it, or do I not sell it? And do I wait? Do I play the waiting game? Does this end up being like Beanie Babies, where they're all just in a garbage bag in someone's storage room now, and they're worthless, or is it that first edition Charizard that's worth $500,000? And these are all things that are considered.
Yeah. And I mean, then you might find that one person who's like, Beanie Babies remind me of whatever, and they're willing to pay crazy money for it. Like you never know. Will that happen with Crocs keychains?
No.
You don't think so?
I just looked into the future, and it's a negative.
Oh, we need to talk about that because I have some questions about World Series.
I don't know anything about anything attainable.
Come on, Biff, bro, bring me the almanac. Let's go. Back to the Future. I'm sorry. No. I wondered. So then, do you clip the Crocs to your Crocs? Is it Crocception? Is what's happening in, or are they actually keychains? Because this woman was so mad. It was like, and this is what really bothers me. Is it was like a 70-year-old lady, right? 80-year-old lady.
Yeah.
And you know that she's like, I just stopped here to get my grandkid this stupid toy. She was so rude. Well, I want a refund. You ate the food. I'm sorry. Yeah. No, I like my customer service brain is so terrible. I'm so bad at that.
I agree.
They come to me and are like, there's the thing. I'll go, well, here's where you messed up.
Yeah.
Not me. But then this nice lady came, like she's yelling about it. And this lady came out of the bag and said, here, you can have mine. And this woman cackled and walked off. All right. And I went, and I remember thinking, not even a fucking thank you.
Yeah.
Not even a thank you. The things that Crocs make people do. McDonald's is feeding toxicity.
In so many ways.
I guess I didn't think about that. But also don't want to put away the possibility of the McMason Cafe returning someday. So I don't.
Oh yeah, hell yeah,
good times.
I was thinking about the hypocrisy of things the other day, and Mr. Beast, how he goes out and he plants trees and he's saves kids in Africa and does all that stuff, but now he has a Lunchable product. And he has chocolate that he sells. Like, what is happening here?
Yeah. He's got a lot of.
Have you seen the movie Don't Look Up? Because it's happening right now. We are in the middle of it.
I mean, there's a few. Idiocracy is a pretty good one too. If you want to look into the future, there's some stuff happening right now. But no, let's get more shoes for our shoes to put on keychains.
They're so poorly made. They opened them. Because we I think we get McDonald's maybe once a week, as kind of a Friday night or whatever. And they opened them up and I was like, what is this? Did they mess this up? Is this because the eye stickers are like,
they're not on straight.
They're not really on. And the kids are just like, what is this?
Where the whatever the sweatshop is, the manager needs to be reviewed. I see.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I totally feel you on that. I really wish that people were more grateful in those situations, but gosh, that I can visualize that whole entire situation. It makes me sad.
Yeah, and I just like put my head down and grabbed my stupid lemon Sprite thing and was just like, I wanted to say something so badly, but then also like I wanted to, who I wanted to say something to was the McDonald's lady who gave it to her. Yeah, I didn't even want to like confront this old lady. But it's funny. I was thinking, when we talk about confidence and like what we were talking about, I feel it coincides with getting older. Like for me, it's a little more difficult the older I get to feel confident about anything, just because I feel like there are so many contradictions in the world the longer I go. And then I would think like and especially if you're there with your grandkid, you would want to show them the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But instead, the right thing to do was to yell at the woman at McDonald's. And I don't know, it's sad about it. But look, if you need your Croc, you need your Croc, I guess, by any means necessary. I've had those moments where I'm like, I'm going to get what I get, and I don't care about none of them.
This is where I wish I was rich though, because I'd just like toss her $100 and be like, "Thanks for being like a good freaking human," you know?
Right,
I'm sure just saying thanks for being a good human would suffice, but
no, $100 would feel a hell of a lot better. No offense.
Yeah.
Like I would greatly appreciate the compliment, but if you gave me a choice, taking $100. And I agree, because those folks, like, she deserved something in that moment, not only for being better at customer service, but for like not losing her shit and being somebody who shows up in a video that's beating this old lady's ass because she wanted her Croc. Damn, I'd have watched that video too. Anyway, and I'd have been like, yeah, that's what you get. I'm sorry. I'm such a terrible person too. I just watch these things. I wake up in the morning and I swear my feed is fueled by like, oh, let's get 3-4 fights in here. Somebody who had a political stance that was a hot take, and then I guess we'll get our day started.
Yeah.
Something I did want to talk about. We can leave that there. I also noticed, and I think that this part of the campaign toward Remy's big gift, Remy's next big milestone in April, seeing the Savanah Bananas, and also turning 40. But seeing the Savanah Bananas, they're in Chicago too. They're coming to Chicago as well. That's twice the opportunities for you to go.
Is it Wrigley or is it the rate?
I don't know. We could look. But I just saw as well that the Savanah Bananas were not only coming to St. Louis, but they were coming to Chicago. And so my thought was, while we actioned on people in St. Louis, let us take this time to our Chicago friends and family. Put your name in the running for the Savanah Bananas. It was I think it was the same thing too, where they were like 2 nights, the lottery, the whole same thing we talked about in the last episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're also coming to Chicago. And I realized that in the last episode, we only mentioned St. Louis. But now 2 times the opportunities to get Remy to Savannah for the Bananas. Not really Savannah. Let's bring Savannah to Remy.
I'm looking to see what it's later in the year. It's August. It is at the rate. It is at the G rate.
Oh, so. Okay. Well, it's not as cool though, because the one in St. Louis is around your birthday. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
But how they're doing, I know how they're doing this during the season. Obviously, the Red Sox aren't there, but like they're on the road or whatever. But still, like, you'd think that they would want to maintain some sort of decorum on the field while they're not there.
I mean, it's the way the White Sox were playing recently. It might be better if they're not there. I don't know if they'll have much going on. And I do want to acknowledge that you said the Red Sox a moment ago, and I know you didn't mean it. And I'm not.
No, I did. They're going to Fenway. That I just had.
Oh, really?
I have the schedule pulled up. Like Great America Ballpark in Cincinnati, Nationals Park in DC, Fenway, Citizens Bank in Philadelphia. Like they're all over the place. It's crazy.
For anybody who was going to leave the comment, then
yeah,
we're all good on that.
I got my Sox colors.
You do, and Remy been on them Sox since way before any of this.
I let them go this year, so.
I am sorry about this year. I don't know what to say. Like, when I heard about it, like, I heard that there were guys following the team to like document the worst season in the history of baseball. And I got sad.
Yeah. Can you imagine being a player and having a documentary crew like in your face because you're sucking so hard that year?
You know what I hate to say is more people will watch it. More people will watch it than somebody who's hitting 100 home runs, because they'll just go PEDs. You know what I mean? But like, people are more interested in sucky things now. I feel like sucky things get more press than good things. We know, because we had to legitimately create a segment to give good news. We had to make What's Awesome a thing so that we could have a reason to tell you about good stories.
And it doesn't even do well. And you're like, positivity doesn't test well these days. You know?
Check your local news and see how many positive stories. Oh, there's one in the last 5 minutes. There's good news tonight. Is there?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know it by watching the news.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother episode that we could go into. And as I feel about like getting older, that stuff sticks out to me more and more. But then when I watch some news stories and they're like, "Oh, there's something wacky. Look at Moodang, the little hippo, adorable." I'm like, "What is this? What are we watching? Is this news or am
Why
I
is
just
it? Why is it so shiny?
why is it anyway? Is it sweating? The it just feels like I'm scrolling TikTok. I'm watching the news now. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing there. But I feel like when I watch news people do trending stories, I feel like you and I could do better. I feel like you and I could handle that pretty well. And I don't know why no one has approached us about it. Like I feel like that weird 4 o'clock. Didn't we try that once? Didn't we want to do like a 4 o'clock news thing where it wasn't news?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there was a there was that. There was like a, collaboration. I know they kind of do these with radio stations every once in a while where they'll like pop into the afternoon show and they'll talk about the wacky viral video of the day or whatever. So that I think was the easy part. But yeah, coming up with our own whole segment was,
A
I think that's
whole like
always
half
something we wanted
hour.
to do. Yeah.
If I can turn on the news and watch some guy sell me on investment management for 30 minutes,
Yeah.
how much does it cost us to actually put on a show?
Us do it basically would be like like a hairdresser who pays for her spot or his spot,
Mhm.
in the
Yeah.
salon. We
Ye
would rent the air, we would sell the air,
I think
and
they
we
do
would
that on some AM stations, don't they? In like St. Louis and stuff, and they
yeah, I
have
think
like
it
that
was
sports station or something.
KTRS was is a radio station that is filled with shows that those people basically pay rent for their show to be on the air
Mhm.
and have their own sales staff, I
Yeah,
think.
so they have to
All that stuff.
generate their own revenue, right?
Yeah.
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 And that's usually what that's the trade-off, right? Radio station would pay us and then send their salespeople out to do whatever. They'd meet with us. We'd say, "We got a Friday jam, go get it sponsored," whatever.
They
It's
wouldn't.
interesting. And they
Yeah.
wouldn't, right? They'd go, "I don't know. I don't know why they won't do it. It's weird because it plays like punch. It's like our biggest thing, but okay. Good to
Can
know."
can we just talk just briefly before we move on about the fact that digital shorts came back last week on
Uh,
Saturday Night Live? Have you
and
seen this?
Andy Samberg came back, and he's playing, is it, the VP's husband, right? Like, I think he's playing, uh
Yeah, in the sketches,
Mhm.
Kamala Harris's husband.
Right.
However, did you see Sushi Glory Hole?
Of course I did, absolutely, I almost sent it to you, I almost sent it to you. It's the first it's like the resurgence of the Lonely Island on SNL, where they got their start, and really where they've only done that stuff because 'cause they've all done different stuff, like,
Yeah,
and if you don't know who the Lonely Island is, that's Andy Samberg, Yorm, and Akiva. Like, it's just the 2 other guys, they were a writing team, the 3 of them were the guys behind the digital shorts, the a lot of the songs that I mean, I'm on a boat,
Dick in a
uh,
Box,
all of that.
Just Had Sex,
Yeah.
uh, Jack Sparrow.
So there were so many, absolutely. There were so many. And so this past weekend on SNL, and Andy Samberg and another one of the guys from the Lonely Island presented the Sushi Glory Hole. Hear me out. Hear me out. I loved
Me
it.
out.
It was very funny if you haven't seen it yet. It felt like a return to something familiar,
Oh,
right? Like,
it
yeah,
was so good, and that's why I wanted to touch on it. I wonder if now it's okay to do that kind of video again. And I don't know if it really plays to both of your and I's generations because we grew up with skits on CD from Adam Sandler. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like
Mhm.
that kind of entertainment is what I'm most familiar with. The music video parody song kind of Weird Al Yankovic route.
Mhm.
I remember going to my friends, how does Weird Al get away with this? I would be so offended if I was the presidents of the United States of America or
Mhm.
whatever,
Right?
whatever he
And
did,
then
or
you find out
Coolio.
that they all love it and they're all like honored by it. Whatever,
Yeah,
if you did that and you found out, if you made a song and you find out that Weird Al's gonna do it, you're like, "Oh, oh, I made it."
I got a hit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you got a hit. I think Weird Al is amazing, always has been, way ahead of his time. And yeah, probably if not for a Weird Al, we wouldn't have a Lonely Island. And I hate to say, like, if not for that, I might not be here. You might not be, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
huge inspiration on what we did and continue to do. Maybe in the future, but we'll see. Yeah, huge fan. If you have not yet seen, I know that there's a lot of people who have a lot of opinions on SNL. This is not political. It's sushi through a hole in the wall. Hear me out. Hear me out.
Don't leave.
SGH on my app. All right. It's so good. Don't leave. Where you going?
Someone in the comments said, no one ever talks about the fact that Lonely Island actually has legit beats.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They
dude.
are so strong.
Yeah, those guys. And I love that. That's like a whole deal. I don't know what Andy Samberg does with his free time right now, but I hope he enjoys it because man deserves it. I love that stuff. Love that. I'm looking forward as we get to Halloween. Will David Pumpkins come back? We'll see. You know what I mean? You don't think so?
No, it's gotta, as long as Tom Hanks is alive.
That's the thing. Right? It's like the over under on him showing up. You think it'll happen?
For sure. Yeah.
Okay.
In some capacity, it might be like I don't know if they've done this before, but it might just be like a regular SNL sketch, and then out the window is David S. Pumpkins, just like
check the box, check the box and move and keep going. Yeah, no, that could be super fun. Of course, they'll probably fumble the ball and create his kid and try something stupid, so Tom Hanks doesn't have to do it anymore. Like Timothy Chalamet will be the guy, and they'll be like, "I'm David Pumpkins' son," and you're like, you ruined it.
Nope.
It's too bad. But with Halloween coming, I wanted to talk about this before we get into the bigger topic. Every year we would put out this list of the best and worst, well, probably best Halloween movies.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you, Remy, 100% serious, because I feel like we used to troll with the list. The whole thing about any social media post, I don't know if you've realized this, is that it is literally with you. It's messy. It's literally there to mess with you. When we would put this list together, it was obviously to make someone go, what? So it would always have Hocus Pocus at the top. I want to ask you to be 100% honest.
Yes.
Do you think that Hocus Pocus is the best Halloween movie of all time?
Yes, I do.
Okay. With confidence.
I would say this, that Hocus Pocus 2 is in the top 5.
So that's okay. So remember when I said trolling?
I have not watched any other Halloween movies except for, if you really want to put this in the category at this point, Agatha All Along. We've been watching that. That would be the only other like Halloween kind of movie that I've watched and intentionally put on, is either Hocus Pocus or Hocus Pocus 2, because it is a vibe. So
I'm with you. Although I still don't think I've seen the movie. Can't say it's one that I'm like, I want to watch this.
Well, have you watched any Halloween movies thus far?
Yeah, Beetlejuice. I saw Beetlejuice 2. Beetlejuice is one that I think, for me, Beetlejuice is top tier Halloween. And it's like a couple of things. Like, this is the season for Beetlejuice, right? Like, come November, Beetlejuice go bye-bye. Nightmare Before Christmas, November. You know what I mean? That's kind of that's the bridge of the gap from Halloween to Christmas for me. So like November, Nightmare Before Christmas. What a great transition. Tim Burton. Batman. No, I'm just kidding. I was just thinking of another Tim Burton film. But yeah, I would say Beetlejuice probably my top tier. And then the second category is horror. Like, is Saw a great Halloween movie? No, but if you're looking to get scared, yeah. You know what I mean? If you want a scary movie, different story. Like, I think there are Halloween movies and then there are scary movies. So what would you said you haven't seen any or don't really watch any other Halloween content at this moment, but if you had to rank the best scary movie, what would that be?
My favorite scary movie is Scream. The original.
Scream. The original. Mm-hmm.
That, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. And I think I'm not a big horror fan. I'm not a big, like, let's go watch The Shining or let's go, watch Poltergeist. I'm not a big fan of those movies, but I feel like the movies that were kind of introduced, the horror movies that were introduced to me in my formative years of, like, the teenage years, for whatever reason, I can still watch those and know that I'm not going to go to sleep that night and also live them. So, I would say Scream and I know What You Did Last Summer. I know those are soft, but
no, not at all. Not at all. Like, I was just thinking, like, because there's their Nightmare on Elm Streets and your Friday the 13th and your Halloweens. But then if I had to think of like the scariest movie that hits me, and I remember I was driving to see my parents last weekend, behind the truck that had all the tubes on it. You know what I'm talking about? Final Destination.
Final Destination,
The
yeah.
scene where there's so many things in that movie. That one was one that got me. Like, that was because it's life. Life is the murderer in that movie.
Yep.
It's not a
Yep.
guy with a glove or a machete. It's just everyday life.
Yep.
I was just on the highway over the weekend and thought of that movie, and I feel like it's got to be one of those that are up at the top. I remember it so much. I don't know how in fourth grade, but this is the generational gap that I think you'll see. In fourth grade, our teacher showed us Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, it was back. First off, shout out to Mr. Hensler, Stone Elementary.
I'm sure the
Saginaw,
parent
Michigan.
permission slip was signed and everything.
Permission slip?
Yeah.
Please, bro. This guy was like, "What do you guys want to watch?" And the kids said Nightmare on Elm Street, and he was like, "All right," and that was it.
Yeah.
So we watched it, and I remember being scared out of my mind. Like, I don't know. Have you seen any Nightmare on Elm Streets? Like, this is the one where the guy, the veins. It was, I think it was Dream Warriors. The veins come out, and Freddy's like puppeteering with the guys. It's obviously traumatizing.
Yeah.
I remember it vividly from school.
Yeah. I think the craziest thing we ever watched was in high school. We watched Saving Private Ryan, and that was like take this home, get this signed by your parents, because the first like 15 minutes of that is like people carrying their arms and legs around.
Yeah,
you know?
But it was educational. Maybe not so much.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much on the. I mean, we learned a lot about anatomy as well when Freddy did what he did, but in different ways. All right, I want, we're in this world, and I know every October we would have these questions, we would have these topics when we would, do the show. So I wanted to actually pick your brain on that. So you sticking by it. When I thought we were trolling, Remy was serious.
I was serious.
This tracks.
And when we get to Christmas, it'll be Home Alone 2 as the #1 Christmas movie of all time.
Okay, well, we'll skip. We'll just move right past that topic. No, and feel free if you want to share your favorite Halloween movie, of course. And we can go Halloween and we can go scary if you want in the comments. We can talk about those coming up. Maybe.
I'll also say that candy corn is the shit. I love that. I love that stuff. And after you had left, Casey and I had a communal candy corn dish in the studio, and I ate so much candy corn on a daily basis. It was not healthy, but it's so good. And the pumpkins pack a lot of punch, and I appreciate those. So
candy corn pumpkins, is that what you mean?
We can't get out of this conversation without some sort of cheesy, corny radio thing. And every radio station right now in America has is candy corn good or not on their Facebook page.
Is that the question right now? I guess, yeah, it is that time. That's kind of why I'm mentioning it right now, right? It's like, yeah, 'tis the season. You got 1 month, the whole year, to talk about the words candy corn.
Yep.
It's garbage, and there's nothing else that we need to say. And I heard if you mix it with peanuts, it tastes like a payday.
Dude, I'm gonna go try that today.
That's crazy.
Ma, get the peanuts.
Let's talk about the big topic here. And this might, I don't know, man. Like, I'm one for a difficult conversation. Like if I might cry every day in whatever we're talking about, because I have a hard time just, like, I don't know, for lack of a better term, bullshitting my way through stuff. I was in a cab when I was in LA, and this guy was asking me questions about Alicia and Keaton and my life and what I do. And he's like, what I noticed with you is that you think about your answers. You don't just give me some I'm talking to the taxi cab driver bullshit. And I was like, yeah, I always don't. And that's probably a fault of mine. Like, I could definitely see people going, Mason will tell me, because he's an idiot. You know what I mean? And I would be lying if I said I'm fully confident all the time in a lot of the stuff that we do. And I say we, I mean like me and my life. And of course, a lot of the stuff that you and I did while we were together is everyday doubt, right? That's life, normal. Confidence is hard, but it's one of what I've noticed is the most key things to survival on this earth. Is the confidence to step out in front of something and say, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm doing. And then to stand by it, even in the face of adversity and whatever else is going on there. So, and this all comes, I was thinking about, I went and saw my parents. I had this thought the other day when you and I were talking, as you're young, you're bright, you're vibrant, optimistic, got all these things you want to do. You're so confident in what you want to do. And the more life hits you, the more that slows down, I feel like. And this is, I think, why people don't like to talk to older folks, because life has hit them so many times that they want to warn you and tell you about all the things in the world that you should know about. You need to know things are going to be hard. And I started thinking about this last week when we were like, let's talk about the things that nobody tells you when you're getting older. Well, one of them for me is that you're not always confident. And I start to think, why are older folks always so quiet? And I think this is why now I'm quiet. It's because I'm just not confident enough in my answers to think I'm first somebody to speak with authority or to know all the perspectives. Because there are so many perspectives now that you had no idea about. And from comedy to wherever we're at now, it's been more and more difficult to just joke, right, about things, to just have fun. And so that's like really stifled me in various spots. When we were still doing the show, I definitely, I threw a lot out, and for whether it was my fault or not, that maybe it wasn't well received, that hit me back like, oh, I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not. And I left you and I with zero confidence because I was like, I just lost the job. You know what I mean? So I wanted, and then I had to take years to get that confidence back, to be in a position to sit in front of this thing with you again and feel like anybody should hear what I have to say, because it's not easy. And I think it's important to talk about that. It can be a struggle. And then how do you overcome it? It's hard. It's a lot easier said than done. I have these thoughts all the time. And in a week or two, I guess when we were discussing this topic originally, I know that you were kind of struggling in a headspace as well with some of the stuff that you were working on. I don't know if you want to go into detail about that or not, but
Yeah, it's just to kind of piggyback off of what you said about how there are so many different viewpoints and so many different opinions and thought processes and culture and religion and politics and all these things that you have to think about when you say. So just take, for instance, when you said the Garth Brooks thing last week, you want to say no surprise at all, but you can't say that because it is a surprise. But Garth Brooks is a creepy dude, and that's not surprising that this would you have to like cover all of your bases in a sentence now, and you can't just speak your mind without repercussions or potential repercussions. I think about this all the time with lack of conviction, and this could be viewed as a fault of mine, not having conviction about one specific thing or a thought process or a viewpoint or whatever, because I've always felt like I'm pretty flexible with how to, and I'm pretty chameleon like when it comes to, oh, I could see, maybe I don't agree with it, but I could totally see where you're coming from on this. I could totally see where you're coming from on this. So it's something that I've wanted to explore more, is being more convicted. And I don't know if that just comes naturally or, without having the internet shoved in your face every day. I think the internet is a huge piece of the puzzle there. Everybody has an opinion now, and now you can see it, and you will see it in a lot of cases, because I don't think that most people realize, if you are not a content creator, if you are someone that does not do what we do, create videos, put them online, put Instagram videos out there all the time, then you probably don't realize when you comment something negative on somebody's post that they take that seriously in a lot of ways. And a lot of times we've gone through the whole like, well, if you have 1,000 comments and 999 are awesome, but there's that one that really sucks, that's the only one that you really stick with as a creator.
Yeah.
And it just that's happened a lot to me recently over the last couple of years working for this company that I'm working for right now, Reef Builders. Because the thing about any hobby is everybody has their own way of doing things. And like we learned in high school math, there's a lot of different ways to get to the same answer. And a lot of people don't realize that. They just kind of want to push their ideals
my
onto
way or the highway. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So the internet is a big thing here, and I just wanted to touch on, you know, something you had said about as you age, you kind of get a little bit more quiet, or you think about your answers a little bit more. And I remember when we first started on this journey, and I would post, I'm eating freaking cinnamon toast crunch right
Right.
now, and then I'd be, I'm going to the bathroom right now. Everything about life was posted on Facebook and on Twitter. And now I find it so difficult to post anything
Mhm.
about my life on Instagram or on Facebook or whatever. So if you go to at Remy Radio, I don't even know when the last I think it was when Riley passed, or when our dog passed. I think that was probably one of the last posts that I put up on my Instagram, and that was back in April. So the frequency has toned down a lot because I don't know. I just like I think those moments that you share with your family are now moments that you share with your family.
Yeah,
And
brother.
they don't need to be out there for everybody. And that's something that comes with age. So while you probably do have 40, 45, 50-year-old friends who are constantly posting on Facebook, I would say that the majority of them are probably just internalizing those moments with their families and their animals and their experiences, instead of look at my life, look at my life, look at my life,
There's a
look
lot
at
of
my life.
live in the moment too. You want to be there a lot more.
Yeah.
Like is a vibe too. Instead of I must capture this to show everybody. I'm 100% with that. Where I too, like, I literally looked back at my first Facebook post, and I think it was me on the toilet watching American Idol, like taking a picture from the bathroom to the TV. Like, I just wanted to abuse this platform. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna do everything you shouldn't do here. And now I don't want any part of it, just because it was such a job for so long. And it is a job for a lot of people who make a fine living doing it, and you should pay them for it, not me. You know what I mean? They're really good at it. They keep an eye on those trends, and I'm just not that guy. I'm not into that. I was thinking the same thing. Like, when was the last time I posted? And I'm looking back now, and yeah, I've posted a bit in the last year, but before that, it was just no. The time from the time that I got let go from St. Louis until I'm looking at this list because it's all like anniversary pictures and stuff. I didn't post about anything other than not that I'm obligated to do that. Hey, I love my wife. It's our anniversary. You the best, babe. You know, but we all do that stuff.
Yeah.
Those were the only posts I was doing for a long time after radio because, like I said, my confidence was so crushed. I thought that I remember starting in radio and being like Mason, the amazing dancing intern. I had a night show called Everybody Loves Mason. And by the end of it, 0 people I worked with loved Mason. What happened? I remember going, where did I go wrong? I started caring. I got a job in a big city, and I thought this is my chance. And suddenly everything was needed to be scrutinized. And I would have been served better by just having fun in that time and not caring too much about it, not thinking it meant everything. Because I didn't see this world that I'm in now where I'm not in radio. You know,
Yeah.
I saw a world where I did that forever and it was all that mattered. Uh, it was my goal, my dream since high school. And now having lived more life after high school than I have, before, uh, I can speak to saying I made a mistake on that. You know what I mean? I should have looked more in, personal and professional stuff in the beginning. Only now experiencing it later in life. You mentioned something about moments that you share with your family and your pets or whatever, and it's just those moments. I said to my wife the other day, I would tweet this joke, but since you heard it, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, you're the best audience I could ever ask for. And I
Yeah.
don't need any, I don't even remember what it was about. And I feel so good about that. But there were so many times where I wrote things down and tried to force them in on our show or tried to make them into a social media post or, because my mind is like going 1,000 miles an hour all the time. And now my wife just gets the brunt of it. You know what I mean? Or I could try all these terrible jokes on them, but I'm confident there. And really what we're doing is standing up on a soapbox and going, listen to me. Listen to what I have to say. I have an opinion of value, and I don't know if I do.
Yeah. It sucks that that views are are viewed as such a currency now.
Yeah.
This Rick Rubin interview keeps popping up in my algorithm, probably because I'm on a search right now for my, you know, on a quest, an ever long quest. But I think if, to your point with the Everybody Loves Mason thing, I think if we were to kind of do his way, which his quote is, the audience comes last. I'm not making it for them. I'm making it for me. And it turns out that when you make things for you, that you're doing the best thing you can possibly do for your audience. And I feel like everybody in every boardroom that is creating content about social media is like, okay, who's our audience? And who do we want to attract? And just make things.
Demographics.
Yeah, demographics. If we were to make things that interested us and only us, then in turn we would be helping the audience. But I feel like a lot of times, and I do this every day, what's the audience gonna, what's gonna get the clicks? What's gonna get the revenue? What's gonna get the money? Because views at the end of the day are what the clients see.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they determine whether or not they're going to spend money with you.
Yeah.
But it's all backwards. It's all backwards.
Yeah. Yeah. It should be the quality content that leads the way and not the results. Right. But because it's such an ROI world, people go into that. I need to see the numbers and I need to know that. Like, what's your definition of success? If we made an amazing art piece, great. You know what I mean? That's all I want. You know, do I love every Friday party jam? No, but I wrote a song every week for 10 years. You know what I mean? They're not all going to be beat it. That's what my wife would say. They're not all going to be beat it.
There's, this podcast and at this current point is not what would be deemed a popular podcast. But I want you, if you're a small business owner, to take into consideration, if you had over 100 people in your store for longer than 30 minutes, would you not be happy? You know what I mean? And I always play that where it's like, if you can get people to hang out forever, the big thing in our world, in the coral world, is coral auctions. So they will actually go on Facebook, have a camera in a tank, and go from each coral to each coral. A lot of these local fish stores struggle to get people actually physically in the door during the day to get supplies or corals or fish or whatever. But with the magic of the internet, they can have 50 people hanging out with them for 2 hours while they're just kind of shopping and browsing coral and fish online. And I feel like that is where the money is at. That's where the viewership is at. That's like, just think about having that many people in any kind of retail store at this point. Hell, you could even go to the mall and not see 200 people in the mall.
That's fair.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is we're doing a lot of this stuff for the wrong reasons. And I think from this podcast, I've felt like it's so, like, we got off last week and I was like, gosh, there was a fun conversation. Like, these are fun conversations that a lot of people are probably going through at the same time. Halloween movies, whatever. Garth Brooks is a creep, those kinds of things. But you got to do it because it's fun for you. And then hopefully other people will have a fun time along with you.
Right. Yep. Yeah. I'm all for that. Do what makes you laugh, do what you enjoy, and the rest will come. And that's how we should have been living. But instead we had analytics and research and ratings and all this stuff. And I go back to, we were trying to make art, but they were trying to sell stuff. You know what I mean? And it came into art versus commercial. You know what I mean? Like, not that we are out there painting pictures, but again, we're writing songs and performing and trying to entertain people with our own brand of whatever that is. And that's what we should be doing. But of course, I get lost in my own head. I want to get into the numbers, and we want, of course, there's your bonuses and all this other stuff. You want to maintain numbers and you don't want to fall, but like, what can you do when the music sucks? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying that country music sucks. Sorry, let me say there were upswings and downswings, right? Like, there was big bumps in times when people in the summer, people love listening to country music. So I always saw a big bump because people were outside listening at various places. Radio signals only got to the river of whatever, you know what I mean? And you have to take those things into account. And then Christmas comes along and suddenly everybody's listening to a Christmas station. You know what I mean? And so these things would happen. And I remember getting caught up in like, did we do anything? Or was it just the music? Did we catch that wave at just the right time? But I know we did stuff. There are people who connected with it. We talked to them. You know what I mean? And we still do hear from a lot of them who are still watching this. So that helps me and my confidence knowing that we weren't wrong. You know what I mean? When I saw the response to you and I just getting back together, it didn't feel wrong. You know what I mean? We're not wrong. We're doing what we should be doing. And I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of opinions about what we're doing now. I don't know if it'll ever lead to us having like another lucrative radio job. You know what I mean? But that's not what this is for. Like you're saying. I was just going through our old library where you said this is for us, and I was like, I like that, Remy. I like that guy. He was right.
Yeah. Is there anybody that stands out in your mind that is doing this, that is not giving an ish and just doing it for themselves?
I mean, partially yes, but partially no. Like, I'm sure that there are those people who just go. I don't necessarily. It's so polarizing because if I give a name, somebody has an opinion on that name.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be distracted by whatever that person is talking about. But there's a number of podcasts that are just people doing what they do, whether they're comedians or entertainers in a different way, or talking about a show. Like my wife listens to like post Survivor podcasts or whatever. You know what I mean? I love that we have that layer of, I don't want to say fandom, but
ultra niche.
When I would watch The Walking Dead, I would then watch the show afterward about The Walking Dead. You know what I mean? I want more, which is great. Like, a show should leave you wanting more, right? That's good. But then there's more there that you can do as well. And I think that there's a huge opportunity for us here, because we're just right now, like, once a week doing what we do to feel good and feel like we're doing this for nothing. You know what I mean? Like, we're carving time out of our day to do this, because not only do we love it, but I know that we might make someone smile today. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. When I talk about these jokes that I could tell my wife and she could be my only audience for the rest of my life, I'd be okay with that. There are still some jokes I write for this. She might not really like enjoy. But now that we're on Spotify, she's listening, you know? I think that we're making strides, and we're nowhere to go but up, really, from where we are right now. As two guys in our basements, just talking about stuff that's coming up in the world, with no monetary or corporate gain anywhere.
Yeah. If you'd like to sponsor the podcast,
take this opportunity now to sell out.
I don't know why that whenever I mow the lawn, that thought always comes up in my head. Like, I wonder if there'd be like small businesses that would want to, get a shout out every time. And it'd be tongue in cheek funny, but they would obviously get some sort of advertising out of it. But we would kind of be making fun of the fact that endorsements are a thing.
I love it. If you have something that you like, a business, just leave the comment of what your business is. Maybe we'll write a commercial for it.
Yeah.
I've always I love the idea. And I remember this from, like, what was the show Colbert had, the Colbert Report? And he would do like fake ads midway through. Like, it would be like Doritos, and it would be, I love orange fingers or whatever. It would not be positive for Doritos, but like no one in our time on the air had the trust in us to be that funny, because I wanted to be like, this hour of the Mason and Remy show is brought to you by, I don't know, Raising Cane's, cane sauce, drown me in it. You know what I mean? Like, I want to make some stupid, how funny would that be? And then people are starting to go to Raising Cane's and going, drown me in cane sauce. And we did that. You know what I mean? Just because we were being fun and silly. This stuff could work out. Leave your business down below, and maybe you will, you'll sponsor a segment of the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think of Macklemore in that kind of way. I think of like Childish Gambino. I think of these guys that just kind of do it because they want to do it. And I think the one thing that holds me back from just starting a wood shop in my garage is money, right? Is not money to get it going, but money to keep my family alive and well, and everybody's good and status quo is met while that all kind of takes place. I might have talked about this at one point, but there's a clip of Jerry Seinfeld who said that, like, back in the 70s and 80s, your currency was how cool your job was. It didn't matter how much you made; it was just how cool your job was. And then there's these guys that started getting rich in the stock market, and that's when that all kind of went away. So, I think of these occupations where, especially the ones that I see a lot in my current occupation, of like coral scientists and marine biologists who are like trying to save the reefs by spawning in captivity. Like, how freaking cool is that? But they don't get paid.
Yeah.
They don't get that money. They might get grants from the governments and things like that, but they're not getting the money that they deserve,
They have a purpose, a cause.
Yeah. So it's that push and pull between, and I'm especially feeling that, right now, is that push and pull between, sure, I'd love to do what my heart desires, but logistically,
yeah,
can that work out?
Got to be realistic. You got to pay the bills. Like you said, you got to feed the family. You got 2 young ones and a wife. You want to make sure the house is still there and paid for. So like, that's a priority. You can't spend all your day doing this. So I get it, but
yeah. I don't know where I was going with that, but just
it's all right. Like it's all part of the confidence.
Yeah. Just overall, like, confidence talk and perspective, I think, is another good word to kind of look at. How are you looking at your job or your occupation or your career or your family life or whatever that is, and looking at it from a different lens than what the internet wants you to see.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And we, when we talk about that confidence and just being like going out there and stepping up on your soapbox and saying what you believe in, like, it's a lot easier said than done, especially with all the different opinions on the internet that can come your way. But like you said, to be convicted, I think was the word you used, convinced yourself that you are confident in your own decision is super hard now, because there are so many differing opinions from other experts in the world who sometimes take to the comments section to tell you random things that don't matter, and I know that those one out of 99 that sticks out in your brain can be the one that's the loudest, and it's really hard to look past that. But I would urge you to not waste your time with it. Not just you or anybody. You know what I mean? Anybody who is seeing that little bit, don't stick there. Stick to the other. Stay on the other thing and be who you are. If I'm thinking about the consultants that we've talked to in our time, they always told us to be ourselves. Whenever they talk about what do you write about when you write songs, I write about, not me, but songwriters write about what you know. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what we have been doing is talking about what we know and what feels good. And whether it's an escape for a little bit to laugh or, to talk about the stupid Croc keychains at McDonald's that like you didn't know were a thing. And now you're like searching McDonald's to try and find the one that you want. I'm sorry, check eBay. It can be tough to go through every day and feel like I know what I'm doing. I'm 100%. This is how it is. I'm making a raised garden bed in the backyard and I'm indecisive about the brick I want to use. Like, this is how bad it is for me. I can't be confident about the brick I want to use. But the older I get, I feel it. You know what I mean? And when I talk to my mom and dad, they have had no internet influence, still convicted by in all like, and I think that's really it. I really do. As we get older, like my parents don't know anything about the internet and they still stick to all their guns. You know what I mean? And the varying opinions of various humans have really eroded the confidence of, I think, a lot of people, me included. You know what I mean? So, It can be tough. Let me take this opportunity to say, be kind. Don't yell at that McDonald's person because you didn't get your little keychain.
Don't yell at the McDonald's worker because you didn't get your Croc keychain. What a wild sentence.
Crazy, right? That I have to say this.
Wild sentence.
My daughter wanted the pink one. We didn't pull off the highway to get this.
Where the hell are we?
She literally was like, "Can you take it out of the display case?" Bro. You get older and wiser, right? Older and wiser? Okay.
Oh.
Be confident about who you are, but not confident in being a douchebag.
True.
let those words ring true. On the other side of things, I feel like we could all be a little more kind. I was just talking about that. Even if you have constructive criticism to share, find a better way to do it. Don't be a douchebag. You know what I mean? And if you are, like, a lot of the times I see people yelling, you know, my job, I come into some very upset people. Sometimes I think, who hurt you? What's wrong?
Mm-hmm.
What are you really going through right now? And I settle in the fact that they're not really mad at me. It's not about me. Something's happening there, right? Like, and it's not me. So best of luck to you. I'm moving on.
Yeah.
Not worth the time, not worth the effort. You got other stuff to do. That would be my advice in those moments. Just keep pushing, because you should know you're good. Yeah. We're not that old yet. You're still good. We can still do this, and we are. And I appreciate you for listening. I appreciate you for doing what you love. A lot of people don't have the guts to do that. I think that there are a lot of people who will just find a job. You know what I mean? And no disrespect to you, because I felt it. Like, when radio ended for me, I was like, I don't care. I really don't care. I can work at a gas station if it'll pay the bills.
I think sometimes you fantasized about working at a gas station while we were in the radio.
I did. Actually, I would, numerous times we would drive by a gas station and I would say, oh, it's the next station I'm going to work at. But
it seems less stressful in the moment.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it? Like, your biggest issue is, oh no, we are out of nacho cheese.
Go get another bag of it.
I guess I'll go just restock that. Just be a minute. So,
and know when you restock it, you're just going to give a little slap it.
Slap the bag. Have to. Let's get a little spank. Let's get a little spank to that nacho cheese bag. Hell yeah. Good game. All right. We can wrap there. I think that this has been a great episode. If you are on board, Remy, with more like about an hour-ish episodes, we're here once again. If you aren't, leave us a comment down below and tell Remy talk more. If you want longer episodes. No, I just in thinking about how many topics can we fit in? How long does this thing take? What kind of time are we asking for? We want to be respectful of your time as well. So appreciate you listening. I hope that you're feeling more confident. I hope that you feel convicted in your decision of what is the best Halloween movie ever. You leave it in the comments down below. I hope that you are not looking for McDonald's because they have keychains. And I hope you have a good day. I don't have anything else to add, Remy, before we go.
For the Chicago folk, if you want to sign up in that Savanah Bananas lottery for me, that'd be fantastic. I think honestly, it's just an email capture mechanism. However, I will gladly accept whatever you have for me.
Yeah, any of your burner email accounts. I know you got 3 or 4, not you, but like you. I know I do. We all do.
My Finsta.
Sign them up. Yes, exactly. I had so many. I think I started an email address when we got fired at one point that was like notemployed@gmail.com. Like, use that. You know what I mean? Whatever those fake emails you signed up for, to get your rewards from Qdoba, use that email. It's fine. I would appreciate it for Remy's big birthday coming up. Then we'll talk to you maybe next week. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Sounds good. Remember, you can find our podcast on all podcast platforms. It's on podcasts now. Can you believe I used to do this? I used to do this for a living. It's so gone. It's so gone.
No, your intro and outro, bro. No, your intro and outro.
Yeah, that's what's going down here. Is just my confidence in my ability to do this. No, find us on Spotify, Apple, Amazon. Leave a rate it, review it. Subscribe on YouTube, masonandremy.com. Find all our links to our social media below in the description. I can almost see your finger hovering over the stop recording button. Just do it.
Okay, bye.